Welcome to Streaming News Network by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. We begin today with new controversy surrounding security concerns after the recent attempt on the life of Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna is now raising serious questions about a separate 2024 assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, suggesting it may not have been the act of a lone gunman. Speaking on a podcast this week, Luna pointed to what she described as intentional negligence tied to that incident, citing whistleblower claims that some United States Secret Service personnel were either absent or told to stand down. She argued that gaps in security created what she called a clear opportunity for an attack. Luna also questioned the level of protection provided at the time, noting that President Joe Biden was in office during the Pennsylvania incident. She claimed limited staffing may have contributed to vulnerabilities. In addition, Luna suggested the circumstances bear what she described as the hallmarks of an inside job, though she did not present direct evidence to support that conclusion. She also acknowledged that key records related to the Pennsylvania case could potentially be declassified by Trump himself, saying access to that information may ultimately depend on his decision. Federal authorities have maintained that the Pennsylvania attacker acted alone and that no further findings have emerged, though the investigation has not been formally closed. Luna further warned that politically motivated violence may be targeting high-profile figures, including conservative activist Charlie Kirk. For now, officials continue to stand by their assessment, while questions from some lawmakers persist. This is Streaming News Network. A major fraud case out of Minnesota is drawing renewed attention tonight, with newly resurfaced court documents referencing Congresswoman Ilhan Omar multiple times. The filings stem from the $250 million Feeding Our Future scheme, one of the largest pandemic-related fraud cases in the country. Prosecutors say the nonprofit falsely claimed to provide millions of meals to children while diverting federal funds through fake food distribution sites and shell companies. The organization's founder, Amy Bach, was convicted in 2025 on charges including wire fraud, conspiracy, and bribery. She is currently in custody and awaiting sentencing later this month. According to trial exhibits, Omar's name appears repeatedly in emails and messages connected to the case, including a 2021 exchange referencing assistance with a United States Department of Agriculture food program. Additional communications reportedly included references to her congressional office, though key details remain sealed by the court. Investigators also uncovered a text message thread between Bach and Omar during a search of Bach's home. While there is no indication that Omar has been charged with any wrongdoing, questions are mounting. Critics have pointed to pandemic-era legislation backed by Omar that reduced oversight of federal food programs, arguing it may have enabled fraudulent activity. Meanwhile, Minnesota lawmakers are pressing for answers. State Representative Kristen Robbins says Omar has not responded to requests for information or appeared before a state committee reviewing the case. A deadline of May 5 has been set for her office to provide relevant documents. Omar's office has not publicly commented. This is Streaming News Network. Authorities in Oklahoma are investigating the death of a state Senate candidate whose body was discovered after he was reported missing earlier this week. 54-year-old Barry Christian, a Republican candidate from Sayre, disappeared on Tuesday after failing to attend a scheduled meeting. Officials say he was last seen driving his gray pickup truck. According to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, that same vehicle was located 2 days later near Highway 30 in a rural area, with a body found inside. The recovery effort was complicated by the truck's location near a ravine close to the Sandy Sanders Wildlife Management Area, which delayed access and initially slowed identification. Authorities have not yet determined a cause of death, and the investigation remains ongoing. Christian was running for State Senate District 38 and had campaigned on a platform emphasizing conservative values, including support for Donald Trump. In a statement, his daughter described the family as devastated, asking for prayers and privacy while they await answers about what happened. Officials have not released additional details at this time. This is Streaming News Network. A nationwide travel disruption is unfolding after the sudden shutdown of Spirit Airlines, leaving thousands of passengers stranded and raising new questions about federal aviation policy. The collapse follows a long-running battle over a proposed merger between Spirit and JetBlue, a deal blocked by the Department of Justice in 2024. At the time, supporters of the decision, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, argued that stopping the merger would preserve low fares and prevent excessive consolidation in the airline industry. But in the months that followed, Spirit's financial position worsened. The airline had already reported billions in losses and faced ongoing operational challenges, ultimately leading to a full shutdown of service this weekend. Now, critics say the failed merger removed a potential lifeline, contributing to the airline's collapse. Transportation Secretary Sean P. Duffy announced emergency measures to assist affected travelers. Major carriers, including American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines, and Southwest, are temporarily limiting fares for displaced passengers, while others are offering discounts or freezing prices on overlapping routes. Airlines are also stepping in to support Spirit employees, with several companies offering travel accommodations and expedited hiring opportunities. Meanwhile, federal officials are urging travelers to seek refunds through credit card chargebacks or insurance claims as the airline enters bankruptcy proceedings. The shutdown leaves the industry with one fewer carrier, and thousands of travelers scrambling for alternatives. This is Streaming News Network. Authorities in the United Kingdom are responding to a wave of violent unrest after mobs targeted hotels housing asylum seekers, including a major incident at a Holiday Inn in Rotherham. Police say hundreds gathered outside the hotel before forcing their way inside, damaging property, assaulting at least one resident, and attempting to set parts of the building on fire while more than 100 people were still inside. Emergency crews later secured the scene and evacuated those at risk. A second attack was reported hours later at a Holiday Inn Express Tamworth, where additional damage was recorded following similar unrest fueled by rumors that asylum seekers were staying there. Officials say tensions have been escalating for several days, with violence linked to misinformation spreading online after a deadly stabbing incident in Southport earlier in the week. United Kingdom authorities have condemned the attacks, with political leaders, including James Cleverly, describing the unrest as driven by extremism and racism. Cleanup efforts are now underway in affected areas, while police maintain a heavy presence to prevent further violence. An emergency COBRA meeting has been scheduled as officials assess the situation and coordinate a national response. Residents who were inside the targeted hotels say they remain fearful, with some unwilling to leave due to ongoing safety concerns. This is Streaming News Network. A tragic incident at Kansas State University has left the campus community mourning the loss of a freshman student. 19-year-old Jack Fleischhaker died after falling from a second-floor window at a fraternity house in Manhattan, Kansas, in the early morning hours of April 25. Authorities say the fall occurred at a residence associated with Sigma Chi. According to the Riley County Police Department, Fleischhaker was transported to a hospital for emergency treatment but passed away 3 days later. Investigators are still working to determine the circumstances surrounding the fall. However, officials say there are no signs of foul play at this time. In a statement, police extended condolences to the student's family, friends, and the university community. The fraternity also described the incident as a tragic accident, adding that there is no indication of wrongdoing. Officials say support services, including mental health resources, are being provided to students affected by the loss. Fleischhaker, who was from Overland Park, Kansas, was studying accounting and finance. University officials say they are continuing to review the incident as the investigation moves forward. This is Streaming News Network. A former Florida police officer is facing multiple felony charges following a deadly crash that claimed the life of a young child. Authorities say 25-year-old Zachary Craig is accused of driving at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour in a posted 50-mile-per-hour zone along Fowler Avenue. According to the Florida Highway Patrol, Craig allegedly struck a vehicle carrying a mother and her 3 children, ages 1, 6, and 8. The 6-year-old girl later died from her injuries at a hospital on April 15. Investigators say Craig, who was employed by the Temple Terrace Police Department at the time, had activated his emergency lights without a lawful reason. Internal records indicate he may have been running late for his shift when the crash occurred. Craig has since been terminated from the department for violating policy. He now faces a charge of vehicular homicide, along with 3 counts of reckless driving causing serious bodily injury. The investigation remains ongoing as officials continue to review the circumstances surrounding the crash. This is Streaming News Network. Authorities in North Carolina are investigating what they believe may be an inside job following a theft at the home of late NASCAR driver Greg Biffle, just weeks after a deadly plane crash claimed the lives of his family. Investigators say the break-in occurred in early January, roughly 3 weeks after the fatal crash near Statesville Regional Airport, which killed Biffle, his wife, their 2 children, and 3 others. According to court documents, suspects with close access to the family may have used personal information, including account details and identifying data, to carry out a coordinated financial scheme across multiple states. Authorities estimate that hundreds of thousands of dollars may have been stolen. In addition to the alleged financial fraud, investigators report that 2 thefts took place at the family's residence on consecutive days, with cash and personal property taken. Law enforcement officials say the level of access involved suggests the possibility of a long-term conspiracy by individuals familiar with the family's private information. The investigation is ongoing as authorities work to identify those responsible. In lighter news tonight, Danielyn Burkhead is stepping into her own sense of style while continuing a long-standing family tradition. The 19-year-old attended the annual Barnstable Brown Derby Eve celebration alongside her father, Larry Burkhead, marking another appearance at the high-profile Kentucky Derby weekend event. For this year's outing, Danielyn chose a bold, Gothic-inspired look, wearing a corseted gown paired with a dramatic hairstyle featuring platinum tones contrasted with darker tips. Her father shared that the style was entirely her choice, describing it as a reflection of her growing independence and confidence. He added that while the edgy look was a surprise, he supports her desire to express herself. The annual appearance has become a tradition for the pair, drawing attention each year as Danielyn continues to grow up in the public eye. This has been a report by Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and shorts. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.